Well, hello and welcome to Leadership Pathway. I'm Dave Miller. I'll be the host today. I'm the co-founder. And as I like to say, Tim, ask any kid what they want to be when they grow up, and they would not say co-founder. But here I am, Leadership
What
Pathway,
would they say? What would they say, Dave?
a fireman. That's
Uh-huh.
what my 4-year-old grandson says.
That didn't happen for you.
The boss man, the president.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
Fire chief, maybe.
yes, Leadership Pathway. We're all about helping churches find and support, develop, and hang on to young leaders. And I'm so thrilled with today's guest. This has only taken 2 years to make happen.
Mm, just two.
My friend from Down Under, Tim Foote. Introduce yourself.
Yes, you just introduced me. My name's Tim Foote. I'm from down under,
Down Under.
uh, Tasmania initially, and then nearly a decade in Sydney, and now over two in the Denver area. But as you know, as we do, Dave, been running around the country for the last, what, 10 years, 15 years, 15 years, building teams, which is
Building
what I love to
remarkable
do.
teams.
Hmm.
Tell us about Slingshot. For there are people who watch this, and I know they've used you, but there's others that maybe they haven't heard. They haven't heard the good news of
Yeah.
Slingshot Group.
Well,
What do
you
you do?
just alluded to it. We build remarkable teams through staffing and coaching. So that obviously includes talent acquisition, as they say it in the marketplace, but searching for great leaders for ministry teams and then helping those leaders be their best. So breakthrough to remarkable. We believe that a remarkable mission is not enough. You need a team to move it forward. So we want to find and place the best leaders on the most healthy teams. And we love getting to do that. Yeah.
When did you first start in Slingshot?
So I started late 2010, early 2011. We were a handful of folks searching for leaders and coaching leaders. And then we grew exponentially in the following decade. I initially led our worship arts division in the worship arts area in the church space, and then moved into senior leadership as my kind of leadership trajectory changed and shifted. The people I was talking to were executive pastors and lead pastors. And then nonprofit that had begun several years earlier came and camped down our division for a while as the leadership changed. And then I started leading our team, our entire team, at the start of 2022.
What do you think the biggest difference in search and coaching is today versus when you started?
Gosh, I think when we started, especially in the church space, we were educating people on the need for this
Mm.
because we got into it because the average staying time of a leader in the church back in those days, I mean, it depends on roles and positions, but it was like 2 years.
Hmm.
And so we wanted to help put a lot more effort and investment up front to align organizations with the right leaders. And so we were very much in education mode back then,
Yeah.
whereas now it's fairly widely accepted that using an outside group to help you find leaders for your team not only makes sense, but it's good stewardship.
Yeah.
Because these days it isn't like it used to be. Who do you know? These days we got LinkedIn and we've got all kinds of systems and processes that you have to navigate. And it takes people away from the important work of ministry.
Yeah.
And so the cost, it's false economy to say, yeah, we can't afford this. No, we actually need the specialists that do this
Sure.
to come and help us find the right person because we can't afford the wrong one.
How many people have you interviewed, Tim?
Oh gosh, thousands.
Thousands. Have you ever estimated that?
It's interesting, Dave, because some people count the nights that they're on the road each year, or I've been on this many flights, or this many hotel. For me, it's a lifestyle. I love people and I love talking to people, so I don't count. I just keep having conversations.
That's amazing. Um, what are the commonalities, do you think, out there in a church that cannot find what they're looking for? What do you think it is?
I think initially it's lack of clarity about what they're actually looking for.
Okay.
And then I think it's believing that they're going to get the perfect person or the purple unicorn.
Hmm.
And they hesitate to perhaps hire the David in the field, as we like to call them. The person you wouldn't expect that, but God has actually prepared for this role.
Yeah.
And it's often those people that make the best kind of hires because you get to invest in them and they're hungry to learn and they're ready to go and you can indoctrinate them into your culture.
Hmm.
Whereas, you've got maybe a church of 500 that wants the leader from a church of 1,500 and that leader may come and run a whole bunch of plays that don't work in your current context. Whereas if you'd actually taken the leader that was at a church of 300 but was hungry and ready to step up to their next level, the ministry would have moved further faster, if that makes sense.
How do you build a remarkable remote team? I think a lot of our friends are doing things similar and they live all over the country and they're working with amazing people who have two or three email addresses, right?
Mm.
Even, I mean, you're still on the team at LifeBridge and you're doing so like a lot. No, does anyone have one job anymore? I don't think so. What do you think the difference is when it's remote? It's remote, it's fractional. They're not sitting in a cubicle or on the other side of the wall in an office. How do you build a remote team that's remarkable?
Yeah. Well, firstly, let me give you context to my local church ministry role.
Yeah.
I would say I have one job, and one job. I tell people that my full time and a half role is running the Slingshot team. I get to serve on the team at my local church. I get to teach still 8 or 9 times a year, and it keeps me connected to the local church. Local church is my first love, so still getting to speak into that and be a part of that, I absolutely love. But yeah, it's interesting when you're talking remote team. How do you keep remote team engaged? It's regular alignment checks. It's working out what we need to focus on and having measurable results. It's not making assumptions, but it's actually a leader that I've learned from early on in my career used to say, people don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. And so it's making sure that you are inspecting in a relational way how people are staying engaged. And so, I mean, we're seeing so many different things now in organizations, like unlimited vacation. That makes a lot of COOs and executive pastors like almost have a fit. I mean, can you imagine having unlimited vacation? Actually, it's the way to go because you hire the right people, and the problem you're going to have is making them take vacation. So it starts with hiring the right dedicated people, and then it's keeping them connected and giving them a sense of connection and looking at the different ways to do that. Simple ways like Zoom calls. You're on Zoom all the time. How do you create unstructured time at the beginning of a Zoom to catch up and to relationally check in and to have the water cooler conversations or the conversations that you have in the conference room when you're waiting for other people to arrive? You've got to be more intentional. I would actually liken it. You would appreciate this, Dave, back from worship ministry days. I remember when there was that whole debate about whether you contract musicians or whether you have volunteers. And I remember talking to a guy who had all contract musicians, and he said, I have to work harder to keep them connected to the mission and be more intentional than when I was working with all volunteers. And I think it's metaphorical, of course, but a similar issue with remote. You have to be more intentional about relational connection, more intentional about results, measurable results, and mission alignment.
My sense has been it's easier to find amazing people. Like you get a dozen people working fractionally and they can live anywhere and they're only going to work a few hours. The quality of that person you can get at the top. Hard,
Mm.
but it's harder to do those things you're talking about.
Right.
Because if we all were in an office, we go into the conference room, we have our meeting, it's the ride to lunch, it's the walk down the
Yep.
hall, it's bopping in and putting your feet up. Which in my mind anyway, I mean, I'm sure there are intentional times there, but most of that time is just spent in passing. That's the
Hmm.
culture gets built
Right.
there. So it
Moment by
takes,
moment.
yeah, it seems
Hmm.
harder.
Yeah. And you've also got to have gatherings too. That's really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
There usually we'll have an annual gathering with our whole
Mm-hmm.
company. There
Mm-hmm.
have been some years that we've missed that. We've felt
Yep.
it.
Yep.
But it's making sure that you have regular touch points, connection points. When I'm in different cities and there's people from our team there, I always try and prioritize what are some ways that we can get together or encourage those that are
Mm-hmm.
in the same cities
Yeah. Yeah.
to connect when they can. I think that's so, so important.
Okay. So you started as what Slingshot Group calls an associate,
Hmm.
and now you're the man. Now you're the cheese, right? You're sitting at the top. What is been the biggest you've been in this role over has it been 2 years?
Oh
Three,
no,
three,
it's like coming out 4 years.
oh yeah, 4 years. Time. So in
Yeah.
4 years, what was the biggest shock? What was the biggest surprise? What was the biggest learning becoming the boss? What do they call you?
I think
President, CEO,
they apparently it's president and CEO,
president
they say.
and CEO, two jobs. Okay. What's been the biggest surprise taking that role?
I would say, and I knew this, but you don't know it. It's the weight that you feel on day one that you're responsible for everything and everybody. And so I don't know that I was surprised, but it's a weight you feel. It also removes you somewhat from regular connection with people that you used to be connected to. I know that sounds like a strange way of saying it, but you don't have your fingers as much in the soil
Yeah.
as you once did.
Yeah. Do you wish you guys were all in an office together?
Some days.
Yeah.
But then I know our people so much that we would have a lease on an office building, and how often would we be in there? You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
But
about
I can
wanting to be in an office. These people are great people. I would love to
Mhm.
be around these people. But probably by Thursday, the first week, I'd be like, I don't want to go to an office today.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of years in an office, and I've spent a lot of years
Yeah.
remote too
Yeah.
in home office. And I get a lot more focused work done in home office. I think hybrids are a great thing where you're in the office sometimes,
Yep.
you're in your home office other times.
Yep.
I mean, there's plus and minuses on either side.
Um, what's Tim Foote, the leader? What are you learning right now?
I think I'm learning more and more, and it's something I knew, but it's just getting it's getting confirmed that organizations need to focus on the right things
Yeah.
that promote team health,
Mm.
that aligns with mission movement.
Yeah.
I think we don't do enough of the relational equity work that we need to do to really have people operating in our organizations, ministries as feeling like owners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's always looking at, okay, what are those things that we need to focus on? And that's what we've been looking at. What are the key areas that organizations need to focus on to move mission forward and have remarkable teams? Because the last thing I want to be a part of is placing leaders on unhealthy teams.
Yeah.
But we know we're dealing with humans.
Yeah.
And so there's so much that we can't control. What we can control is how we encourage organizations to focus on the right things, to be healthy, and for each person to move forward together. The best times in leadership for me, Dave, and I know you and I have talked about this before, are when I'm not the smartest leader in the room.
Hmm. Well, it's not hard
When
for
you,
me. It's probably really hard for you to find a room where
no,
you're not.
that's not hard for me either. And I've based my career on surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
And being okay with that. The I think the most powerful thing a leader can say these days is, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know what to do, because it opens up a team to new thought and for people to step up and for collaboration.
What's your Enneagram, Tim?
Two. And it's
Enneagram
very
two.
unusual for a two to be leading an
Yeah.
organization.
Helper.
Hmm.
Strong
Two
three
wing three.
wing. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, let me ask it a different way. Let me ask it a different way. What's Tim Foote, the leader, Tim, what's Tim Foot learning?
I think I mean, spiritually, I mean, I'm always going to go there first. Tim Foot's learning that he needs to just keep trusting Jesus more and more each day.
Yeah.
I knew it, but you've got to continue to loosen your grip on what you think ought to be, or any kind of control,
Yeah.
and continue to trust God to lead the way that He's always done. Because He's continuing to stretch me. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting on this Zoom talking to you today, I mean, I think you're home today too. We're both in the Denver area,
Hmm.
doing what I'm doing. Um, I'm as amazed as anybody. That
Yeah.
only comes when you keep saying yes to God and yes to risk and yes to stepping out.
Yeah.
And that just requires more and more trust. My daily prayer is, Lord, align me with your purposes because
Hmm.
I don't want to waste time doing anything else.
Yeah. It's good. Let's go back to who was Tim? Take me back to what do they call it in Tanzania? Not
No, that's
Tanzania.
Africa, Dave.
Not
That's
Tanzania.
Africa. I'm from Tasmania, which is one of the six states of Australia. But apparently, a lot of Americans have trouble getting their heads around that.
um, who was Tim in high school? Do they call it high school?
Yep.
Grades 9,
Yeah.
10, 11, 12.
I was
Who were you, an
I was
athlete? Were you a band guy? Well, who were you?
I was a band guy,
Yeah.
and I was always juggling a lot of plates. At the age of 17, I miraculously landed a role as a presenter reporter on a national television show called Good Sports. Don't be Googling it because I don't think there's any records about it anymore.
Oh no, we
But
have
it,
a clip.
no,
Let's
you
watch the
don't.
clip.
Oh, no,
Let's
you
watch the
don't.
clip. That would be
No,
awesome,
you
wouldn't
don't. It was produced at Taz TV at the time. It's called Win TV now, I think, but it was syndicated nationally,
it? Oh,
and so I did that on the side as well as school. I took a gap year, and stepped more fully into that. And I worked as a working musician, had a bunch of gigs that I would do,
okay.
and I was searching for the right arts course I wanted to do at college, and got accepted, which was pretty amazing and prestigious at the time, into the Tasmanian Conservatorium of Music, which was a respected school. And at the end of that gap year, I had to make a big decision whether to take that spot and go study vocal, was going to be my major, piano second study. Go do that, or move to Sydney, which is kind of like the New York or LA of
Yeah.
Australia, and step into a worship director role at a church, which was going to be part time.
As a
So I
19-year-old, you
deferred.
were 19 or 20?
Yep, I deferred.
Okay.
So I deferred that position at the conservatorium, which is still deferred. So I guess it's still an option. I doubt it. And I moved to Sydney, and I stepped into a worship director role, worship pastor role, very rare in churches in Australia in those days, very rare. And it was like a day a week. And I worked as a production assistant at a video production house, and I did that for about 5 months, and they offered me a fast track to become a director and producer. And then the church offered me a expanded role, like 4 days a week. I was doing one day, 4 days a
Yeah.
week. And I stepped out and left the production house, stepped into the church, and then supplemented that with doing gigs like 3 to 5 nights a week.
What was the
So it was a
playlist?
crazy time of life.
Give me the playlist. What was in what? Think back. You're 19 or
Oh, you know the
20.
playlist. Piano
No, come on.
Man,
Huh?
American Pie. It
No,
had
no,
to be
no. At
you.
church. At church.
Oh, I thought you meant the piano bar. Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. Come on.
I wish we had video of this. That would be so great.
Oh, seriously, I think the first day that I was interviewed and led worship at the church in Sydney, the lead pastor at the time had me play a couple of bars of Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire,
So
because he knew that I was a piano bar musician.
that's so great. Listen, I
No,
didn't do.
the playlist, gosh, we're talking Andre Crouch, and we're
Oh,
talking Ron Canoli, and
yeah,
I mean all of those tunes. You remember you were doing it.
I was doing it. Probably not as well as you.
Those were fun days, crazy days.
Listen, I didn't play the piano bar till I was 33 years old with kids. And I thought
Yeah.
to myself, I should have done this when I was 19. This is making me a better musician, a better singer, a better worship leader, learning how to
No.
work a room, learning how to
Oh, I
overcome
learned
people's.
more.
Yeah.
I learned more about leading worship from the piano bar than anywhere
Yeah.
else.
That's right.
The working a room, making people feel seen,
Yeah.
and it was an amazing mission field.
Yeah.
And then I would do corporate gigs and the
Okay.
band that I put together, the team that I put together at the church would come do those with me. I mean, it was a
Okay.
great time of life. And I was
Okay.
learning from great, great leaders too.
How long were you, what church was that? What was the name of the church?
It was called Northside Community Church.
Northside
In
Community.
the US, it would have been called Northside Christian Church. It was independent, non-denom.
How long were you there?
Downtown, a great part of Sydney.
Oh,
And I
nice.
was there for 9 years.
9 years from eight. You started at 19 and you thought to
Hmm?
yourself, everyone starts at 19 and stays 9 years.
Can you believe it? 9 years. And I was set to stay. I wasn't going anywhere.
Huh.
But it was at 28 that I went from a church of 300 to 500, but that was big in
Mm-hmm.
Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a city church.
Yeah.
And I went to a church of over 3,000
Mm-hmm.
here in the Denver area in Longmont, and transitioned to the other side of the world.
Where does the long suffering come from in your life? 9 years. I mean, that's rare, as you know today.
Well,
Statistically, you're
honestly,
you are in rare air, staying for 9 years in your first ministry, and now forever in your second ministry, and forever at Slingshot. So the grit and the long suffering, where does that come from?
I just don't want to quit. I'm not going to move unless I hear from God on the move. And I mean, I'm looking at my life. I'm in my early 50s now. We're similar vintage, you and me, Dave.
Yeah, but you're
I've
bald.
I've
You get all the
I-
breaks. Oh, you bald
I've had
guys.
I've had three
I
home
know.
churches, including the
I
one I
know.
grew up in my life.
But where does that come from? And I
I
know
think
it's
it's a
God, but I mean, like, in your story as a kid, were you not, did your parents not let you quit things, or you learned early to just stay with it or something? Because
I
most don't do what you've done.
well, firstly, I would say that I never take good parenting for granted because
Uh-huh.
I've had great parenting,
Uh-huh.
and there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for the sense of identity that I have. I
Mm-hmm.
always knew that I was loved. I believed that I could achieve anything.
Mm-hmm.
But what they also did was they gave me a very realistic sense of my what's the word I'm looking for? Abilities.
Mm.
I never had parents that would like overbuild me up, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. I did musical theater when I was growing up. It was something me and my dad shared. We loved it, and I landed some pretty great roles, but I didn't land the see. I was the swing. I was the understudy,
Okay. All right.
and looking back now, that was really good for me because
Because,
it just taught me that I wasn't all the stuff.
yeah.
And I had to work hard. I had to work hard to do those roles. And I ended up doing like even as in theater work, even as an understudy, I got to be the guy, but I wasn't the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think mom and dad like caused me to believe in myself, but know that anything I had to do, I'd be working at it.
Mm.
And also, I had a grandfather on my maternal side that was a pastor for 60 years. So I had a
Mm-hmm.
good sense of, he was the one that when I said to him when I was 10, one day I want to be a pastor, grandpa, he said, well, try everything else. And if you still want to be that, you know, and then my
That's good.
grandfather on my paternal side was a politician. He was in government. He was chairman of boards. He was knighted by the Queen for services to the state. I
Mm.
mean, all kinds of stuff. So I think I had really good role models that let me know, hey, you don't qu it's never your decision to quit. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Did you ever want to quit? Do you remember trying to quit something when you were young?
Now that you ask me, I don't consciously remember trying to quit something. I remember there were times in ministry, usually at Christmas, when I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I think my conversations, I think too, I had a very real faith modeled for me. I had great role models and leaders that were, everybody has a flaw, that were honest about their fatal flaw so I could learn from their successes. I could learn from their challenges as well. And in my honest conversations with God, because an honest relationship with Him was modeled for me, it was like, God, I really want out of this,
Mm.
but I fear you enough to not leave unless you release me or unless I'm fired.
Were you a good kid? You,
I think I was a
the
reasonably good kid.
cops never came to the house or anything?
I didn't have that going on. And I think part of that was I didn't want to disappoint my parents.
Hmm.
I mean, if you probably asked, some of the girlfriends I had,
We have him here on the line, Tim. Let's open up line number.
bring him on. Also, I would say the girls that I dated, I could still have friendships with today. Let's say
Yeah,
that.
that's good. Good for you.
And I've been
Um,
married for 25 years for the record.
yeah, that's right. Mandy's a saint. Would you rather would you rather take a win or take an assist? In a sports sense, would you rather score or would you rather have the assist?
I find joy in both of those things.
Which would you rather have?
But that's a really hard one for me to answer. I can't choose between the two. Because if you ask me, what are the trophies in my trophy chest of leadership,
Yeah.
they're all to do with assists.
Yeah.
I would also call them wins.
I'd rather have the assist. This goes back to
Mm,
basketball, high school, middle school, point guard.
yep.
I always wanted to know how many assists I had,
Hmm.
selfishly. To me, it was like with statistics, I look at the assist line, which is puts puts one in a difficult spot when it comes to leading. Like you'd rather not be president. You'd rather
Mm.
not be. I find that in my own that conflict. Like I would rather someone else be up front talking and I'll be in the booth wearing the clear com, calling the show,
Here's what I love.
setting it all up for them, making sure it, and then standing back and evaluating, which trips me up a little bit. Like Thursday, I'm going to go speak at this thing, and I'm like, man, what am I doing? I'm just,
Tuesday, I'm going to speak at this thing, and I love doing
you love
that.
it.
I think part of it for me, Dave, is I love leading teams because leading teams means stewarding teams.
Uh-huh.
And stewarding teams means allowing other people to step up into their giftings. That's what I love most of all. So I'd really miss that role if I was not in it.
Yeah.
But I've often said to myself, if it ended tomorrow, I'm going to smile because it happened. I'm not going to cry because it's over. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've come from so far that if it ends tomorrow, it's been great.
Mm-hmm.
But I love getting to be in that leadership role to steward the people that God has placed around my table.
It's good. Tim Foote, from the piano bar to the presidency, from piano bar player to president.
I don't know about that. I have a very sane understanding of, where I am in life.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it.